All right, folks, we're back. I'm your host, BKP, and you're watching BKP Politics on voiceofruralamerica.com. I am happy to report that we have a president, Donald J. Trump, that is addressing everything immediately. Every single thing he's addressing immediately. He's not waiting. We don't have to wait till 2 o'clock in the afternoon to see if he's lucid enough to talk. We don't have to look at his calendar and see, put a lid on the day. Is that what they call a lid on the day? We don't have to do that. So, my concern this morning is, when will Republicans take the total turn against him? And I don't mean MAGA. I'm talking Republicans. Give me number 30. He's exactly right. I know many of you out there in aviation, several of you in aviation are looking into this. You've watched a video. The airplane was on a perfect routine line to approach to the airport. The airplane was perfectly set for the landing. The helicopter was going straight into the airplane for an extended period of time, meaning, okay, why didn't you see this plane? This is what Trump said. We're allowed to ask questions. The plane's coming in. You're way over here, and you just kept going right at the exact, now, just saying, for an extended period of time. It is a clear night. The lights are on the plane, were blazing. Why didn't the helicopter go up or down or turn? Why didn't the control tower tell the helicopter what to do instead of asking if they saw the plane? This is a bad situation. It looks like it should have been prevented. Not good. This came out that night. Now, Donald Trump is going to meet with the families. He's going to meet with the families, but he's exactly right. This could have been prevented. And why? And they're going nuts that he's already asking, why did this happen? All right, so confirmation hearings. Diane, I sent over several videos, and I don't get into... thank you for helping me on the Pete Buttigieg and me saying that instead of Pete Hegseth. Thank you, Diane. All right. I get wound up and I get nothing. Those are two Pete's you don't want to mix up. Okay. Excuse me. So, the confirmation hearings, Diane, I sent you a couple videos and I never get into your playlist at the end. I don't know some of these if I can play them, like Tulsi Gabbard's opening for 9 minutes. And I don't even know what you have planned. But if you want to grab some of these on the playlist and run them, you might want to look at them, because I don't know if we can get to all of them. So we have number 4, RFK Jr. Right there. RFK Jr. grilled at the second confirmation hearing. And in number 20, we have RFK Jr. for the last 2 days. All right. We have Kash Patel and we have Tulsi Gabbard. Now, I wouldn't get shocked if RFK Jr. and Kash Patel both have to have the vice president, JD Vance, just like Pete Hegseth in defense, vote for them on the 50 to make it 51. I wouldn't get shocked if both of those. And here's what else I won't get shocked. Number 22, I don't know anything, but number 22, when I say the majority, I watched the majority of Tulsi Gabbard's hearing yesterday. I expected the Democrats to go after her, but it's the Republicans that concern me. I she may get out of committee, and you have to get out of committee, folks, to get to the floor for a vote. Now, I don't know the rules, so you can correct me here. You can correct me this one time. Don't let it happen again. But no, you can correct me on this. The committee recommends. That's basically all the committee's doing, is voting you out. I don't know the exact rule here. So even if you don't get voted out of committee, I'm not for sure that John Thune, the majority leader in the Senate, can't put your nomination on the floor for a vote in front of the full Senate. I'm not for sure. I don't know if they have a rule you have to get out of committee. If you have to get out of committee, I don't feel comfortable that she will even get out of committee. Now, if she does, you can mark this down, 9:06 on 1/31/2025. BKP was close, not exactly. I leave wiggle room, but close to maybe being slightly incorrect. I got to be cautious here. I don't want the whole thing out there. All right, but here it is. Give me number. We're going to get to Tulsi Gabbard in a minute, but give me number 36. And I can't remember where everybody's from, but Susan Collins, Jerry Moran, John Cornyn, and Todd Young, Senate Intel Committee. Now, Todd Young is the senator from Indiana. And remember, let me jump into this before we go back on confirmations, because we work on confirmations. We can only lose 3 because we have 53-47. So we can only lose 3, and we end up with Vice President Pence having to cast a tie vote.
JD Vance.
What did I say?
Pence.
Did I say Pence? Vice President JD Vance. Now, I know that Diane's just making this stuff up on me today. I know, it's not that bad. Anyhow, JD
All right,
Vance.
everybody needs to text Brian and let him know that he's making the mistakes and I'm not making it up.
You're a real maker-upper. Okay, all right already. So I am concerned that, we only can lose 3 before JD Vance, the vice president, would have to cast the tie-breaking vote. And that being said, don't forget this. I had this a minute ago. Give me number 24. So as we're looking at the 3 that we can lose, and Vice President JD Vance, don't forget we had 4 Senate seats stolen from us. Don't forget that. As we're talking about confirmation, Wisconsin, Michigan, Nevada, and Arizona, don't forget we should have 57 seats right now, not 53. Always keep that in the back of your mind as you hear we can only lose 3 seats. Because when they stole these right out from under us in broad daylight, they knew at any given time they can pull the string on Collins, pull the string on Mitch McConnell, pull the string on Murkowski. They knew they had the numbers to, they could pull the string on the Senate. 57 would have made a big difference. I'll take that down. So on Tulsi Gabbard yesterday, I asked this earlier. Do you think, number 40, do you think she should have went ahead and said, yes, Snowden's a traitor? Now, do you think, just to get through the confirmation process, just to get through it, because yesterday was not the day to show America that they don't care about the intel community. They pulled up a tweet at 11 o'clock at night, the night Russia rolled into Ukraine, where apparently she said something to the effect that this could have been prevented. You know, we're in talks with Ukraine and we want to put weapons in Ukraine right on the soil. We want to go right up to Russia, and Russia said no and rolled in. So these senators kept referring to Ukraine as innocent. Yes, Ukraine, the laundromat that's been washing money for these corrupt politicians for years. They kept bringing that up.
Hey, Trump just
Tulsi
released
Go ahead.
something. You have it on your text. Trump just released something about the helicopter.
Okay, thank you, Diane. She's keeping up with it. You said Buttigieg twice and Pence. Thank God you have Diane to keep you straight. Oh my God. Oh my God. I can't believe that. Trump just released the Black Hawk helicopter was flying too high by a lot. It was far above the 200-foot limit. That's not really too complicated to understand, is it? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Thank you, Diane. You said Buttigieg. Oh, that really ticked me off. Anyhow, moving right along. Gabbard Senate critics are more interested in protecting America's spy agencies than fixing them. Exactly. Now, yesterday, I asked you this. How many times? Give me number 38. And the senator from Indiana, Republicans kept asking about Snowden. Is Snowden a traitor? Snowden support threatens Tulsi Gabbard Senate confirmation. Now, I watched the whole thing. Oh, so sorry. Give me video 18. I think that's the one I want. Video 18.
Do you believe, as the chairman of this committee believes, as the vast majority of members of our intelligence agencies believe, that Edward Snowden was a traitor to the United States of America?
Senator, if confirmed as Director of National Intelligence, I will work with you to make sure that there is not another Snowden-like leak.
Media. It's not a moment to propagate theories, conspiracy theories, or attacks on journalism in the United States. This is when you need to answer the questions of the people whose votes you're asking for to be confirmed as the Chief Intelligence Officer of this nation. As my colleague said, this is not about you. It's about the people that serve the intelligence agencies of the United States. Is Edward Snowden a traitor to the United States of America? That is not a hard question to answer when the stakes are this high.
Senator, as someone who has
your
served
answer,
in
yes
uniform,
or no, is Edward Snowden a traitor to the United States of America?
as someone who has worn our uniform in combat, I understand how critical our national security
Apparently
is.
you don't. Apparently you don't. Let me ask you. I've worked.
She continually over and over said Edward Snowden broke the law. Okay? Go ahead and give me 34, and then let's jump to 36. All right. She continually said Edward Snowden broke the law. But as he said, his colleagues, if you watch the entire thing, all right, let's go to 36. And I'm going to use one for an example. The Todd Young really upset me from Indiana yesterday. Jerry Moran, I think he's a senator from Kansas. It wasn't too bad. But Todd Young got very upset with her and kept going after her about Snowden. The Republicans kept going after her. Not one Republican that I'm aware of looked at her and said, I really like the way you welcome to the party. Now, the interesting thing is the introduction she got came from, who's the lady out there in Kansas? Joni Ernst. Joni Ernst made her introduction and endorsed her. But I will tell you this, Tulsi Gabbard, I have concern on whether she's going to make it out of committee. I really do. And these jackasses. Now, we'll get to RFK last. All right. Get to RFK last. Let's see. Make sure I don't have anything else. Go ahead and give me number 37. So you're looking at, it's possible right now Trump team sweats McConnell's vote on Tulsi Gabbard. I wouldn't get shocked right now if she has about 5 no votes on Republicans. We will see. All right. Out of the 3, she is the one that I am concerned about. Now, before I move on, I want to give you clearly my opinion. I've watched, I'm going to play just a minute, video 11 of her opening. It's 9 minutes. We're not going to do the whole thing, but give me video 11 of this lady's opening here.
I'm honored and grateful to President Trump for his trust and confidence in nominating me to serve our country as the Director of National Intelligence at a time when trust in the intelligence community, unfortunately, is at an all-time low. Chuck Schumer admitted a few years ago, quote, "You take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you." For too long, faulty, inadequate, or weaponized intelligence have led to costly failures and the undermining of our national security and God-given freedoms enshrined in the Constitution. The most obvious example of one of these failures is our invasion of Iraq based upon a total fabrication or complete failure of intelligence. This disastrous decision led to the deaths of tens of thousands of American soldiers, millions of people in the Middle East, mass migration, destabilization, and undermining of the security and stability of our European allies, the rise of ISIS, strengthening of al-Qaeda and other Islamist jihadist groups, and strengthening Iran. Here are just a few other examples. The American people elected Donald Trump as their president not once but twice, and yet the FBI and intelligence agencies were politicized by his opponents to undermine his presidency and falsely portray him as a puppet of Putin. Title I of FISA was used illegally to obtain a warrant to spy on Trump campaign advisor Carter Page, using a Clinton campaign-funded false dossier as their so-called evidence. Biden campaign advisor Tony Blinken was the impetus for the 51 former senior intelligence officials' letter dismissing Hunter Biden's laptop as disinformation specifically to help Biden win the election. Former DNI James Clapper lied to this committee in 2013, denying the existence of programs that facilitated the mass collection of millions of Americans' phone and internet records, yet was never held accountable. Under John Brennan's leadership, the CIA abused its power to spy on Congress, to dodge oversight, lied about doing it until he was caught, and yet has never been held responsible. Under Biden, the FBI abused its power for political reasons to try to surveil Catholics who attend traditional Latin Mass, labeling them as quote-unquote radical traditionalist Catholics. Personally, just 24 hours after I criticized Kamala Harris and her nomination, I was placed on a secret domestic terror watch list called Quiet Skies. Sadly, there are more examples. The bottom line is this must end. President Trump's re-election is a clear mandate from the American people to break this cycle of failure, end the weaponization and politicization of the intelligence community, and begin to restore trust in those who've been charged with the critical task of securing our nation. If confirmed as DNI, I will do my very best to fulfill this mandate and bring leadership to the intelligence community with a laser-like focus on our essential mission, ensuring the safety, security, and freedom of the American people. As the President's principal intelligence advisor, I'll begin by leading by example, checking my own personal views at the door, and committing to delivering intelligence that is collected, analyzed, and reported without bias, prejudice, or political influence. I enlisted in the Army because of the horrific terrorist attack on September 11th and volunteered to deploy to Iraq in 2005, where I served in a medical unit. After nearly 22 years in uniform with 3 combat deployments to the Middle East and Africa, I'm now a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Army Reserve, where I serve as a battalion commander of soldiers in Oklahoma, Missouri, and Arkansas. I served in Congress for 8 years on the Homeland Security, Foreign Affairs, and Armed Services committees. And it's my experience in the military and in the halls of Congress that have given me a deep understanding of the complex challenges that our nation faces, in both roles engaging with world leaders, in both roles being privy to highly classified intelligence. So I know firsthand how essential accurate, unbiased, and timely intelligence is to the President, to Congress, and to our warfighters. I also know the heavy cost of intelligence failures and abuses. Senator Collins, you led the creation of ODNI specifically to address those intelligence failures of 9/11 and Iraq's so-called WMDs. The need for the ODNI under strong leadership still exists today. If confirmed, I'll bring my experience and fresh eyes to leading the intelligence community. And my day one priorities will be to assess the global threat environment, identify where gaps in our intelligence exist, integrate intelligence elements, increase information sharing, and ensure that unbiased, apolitical, objective collection and analysis to support the President and policymakers' decision-making occur. I'll work to end the politicization of the intelligence community and ensure there is a clear mission focus in the IC on its core mission of this unbiased, apolitical collection and analysis of intelligence to secure our nation. I'll work to rebuild trust through transparency and accountability. This is a national security imperative. And I'll work to assess and address efficiencies, redundancies, and effectiveness across ODNI to ensure focus of personnel and resources is on our core mission of national security. Now, in my meetings that I've had with many of you, you expressed bipartisan frustration about recent intelligence failures as well as the lack of responsiveness to your requests for information. Whether it's the surprise October 7th Hamas terrorist attack, to the sudden takeover of Syria by Islamist extremists, failures to identify the source of COVID, anomalous health incidents, UAPs, drones, and more. If confirmed, I look forward to working with you to address these issues. Ensuring the safety, security, and freedom of the American people is a mandate of leadership that rises above partisan politics. If confirmed, my commitment to the President, to you, and to the American people is this: I will do my very best to find the truth, no matter where it leads, and share that truth with President Trump, his advisors, and you in Congress, providing you with that unbiased, timely, and accurate intelligence as you make the tough decisions that'll impact the safety, security, and freedom of the American people. Now, before I close, I want to warn the American people who are watching at home. You may hear lies and smears in this hearing that'll challenge my loyalty to and my love for our country. Those who oppose my nomination imply that I am loyal to something or someone other than God, my own conscience, and the Constitution of the United States, accusing me of being Trump's puppet, Putin's puppet, Assad's puppet, a guru's puppet, Modi's puppet, not recognizing the absurdity of simultaneously being the puppet of 5 different puppet masters. The same tactic was used against President Trump and failed. The American people elected President Trump with a decisive victory and mandate for change. The fact is, what truly unsettles my political opponents is I refuse to be their puppet. I have no love for Assad or Gaddafi or any dictator. I just hate al-Qaeda. I hate that we have leaders who cozy up to Islamist extremists, minimizing them to so-called rebels. As Jake Sullivan said to Hillary Clinton, quote, al-Qaeda is on our side in Syria. Well, Syria is now controlled by an al-Qaeda offshoot, HTS, led by an Islamist jihadist who danced in the streets on 9/11 and who was responsible for the killing of many American service members. Democrat senators in the past resorted to anti-Christian bigotry against some of President Trump's judicial nominees like Amy Coney Barrett and Brian Boucher. I condemn those actions as a Democrat in Congress at the time, as religious bigotry must be thoroughly condemned by all of us, no matter the religion. Unfortunately, there are some Democrat senators who still don't understand the principle of freedom of religion and Article 6 of the Constitution. Quote, no religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to any office or public trust under the United States. Unfortunately, they're once again using the religious bigotry card, but this time trying to foment religious bigotry against Hindus and Hinduism. If anyone is sincerely interested in knowing more about my own personal spiritual path of Hinduism, I welcome you to go to my account on X, where I'll share more on this topic.
All right, so I didn't have a breaking point, Diane. I think you can understand that. I didn't have a breaking point. But they needed to know about Edward Snowden. And it is a fact. Gabbard's Senate critics are more interested in protecting Americans' spy agencies than fixing them. Now, yesterday, Tom Cotton opened up, the chair of the Intel Committee, Senate Intel Committee, and Tom Cotton said that this, you gotta remember, this lady has worn our uniform. Now, if there was a gay man, just saying, a trans individual wearing a military uniform, right? Anyone else sitting there, the fact 22 years with no incidents, Lieutenant Colonel, is that what we call a full bird? Is that a full bird? Lieutenant Colonel, 22 years. A member of Congress, 8 years. Okay? Tom Cotton said, as the chair of this committee, she has had 5 past FBI checks. She has gone through 5 FBI background checks in her career that are flawless. Now, yesterday on that committee, at no time could they highlight something. There's not a one of them, not the first one, that looked at her and said, well, you know, in your background check, this was alarming. In your background check, we were a little alarmed on some of the things we saw in the FBI report. Nothing at all that says that she will not be dedicated 100% to the president. She goes in every morning. Donald Trump, the president of the United States, needs someone he can trust. And she's supposed to go in every morning and give the intelligence assessment and all the options. That's the job every morning to the president of the United States. What Tom Cotton also said is that every question came back answered that they had, and her 300-page He said her 300-page FBI background check for this position came back flawless. Now remember, these jackasses kept saying, we got to have background check. We got to, oh my God, how can we confirm without a back? Remember, the FBI background check, that's what we had to see. We had to see that. Right? They have. They got nothing. They spent 4 hours yesterday asking this lady. Now, Diane, I'm going to play this one, but there's a commercial because it is a video from our friend Alex Jones. When the commercial hits, can you take it off? Try to watch for it. Go ahead. This is Bennett on the proxy war, video 14.
Are you aware that your comments about proxy wars and Russia's legitimate security concerns, to quote your own words, are in alignment with what the Russians have said to justify their invasion of Ukraine? Yes or no?
Senator, I don't pay attention to Russian propaganda. My goal is to speak the truth, regardless of whether you like it or not.
I'll take it. That's fine. You said you are used to speaking truth to power.
Yes.
Please go to the.
All right. Because the lady told the truth, but all day yesterday, Edward Snowden, I asked you that. Should she have just said he's a traitor? She said over and over he broke the law. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, before we get to the Georgia hour at 10 o'clock, when we come back, we're going to talk about Kennedy. Now, give me 33. And I'm telling you that Bernie Sanders lost it. And Robert Kennedy put these people in their place yesterday. It was great. Tulsi Gabbard has my full support. She was a Democrat for 8 years, okay? There's a lot of questionable things that some people have brought up. She served this country 22 years in the military. She's had 5 background checks, including this one here, that are flawless. All right, she wore the uniform. She's telling the truth. And she was a member of Congress for 8 years. Tulsi Gabbard has my full support. Now, if not confirmed, we got a problem. Take a break.